In 2018, the international scientific community was taken aback by claims from the South China Morning Post affirming that the nation had achieved an impressive breakthrough, unlike anything the world had ever seen. While militaries the world over were struggling to harness the full potential of laser weapons, the article bluntly stated that China had managed to create a portable laser rifle, not unlike the ones in science fiction novels. With the capability to set fire to objects or enemies roughly a kilometer away, the ZKZ-M500 laser gun would undoubtedly be an uncanny and revolutionary development. The source alleges that China has created a mighty weapon tuned to an invisible frequency that produces no noise whatsoever. As one researcher puts it, quote, "Nobody will know where the attack came from. It will look like an accident." In July of 2018, the South China Morning Post published an article that drew the attention of several militaries, scientists, and enthusiasts around the world. The paper claimed that Chinese researchers of the Xi'an Institute of Optics and Precision Mechanics at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Shanxi had finally brought, quote, "Star Wars to life." The article referred to the ZKZ-M500 laser gun, a weapon roughly the size and weight of an ordinary assault rifle, but capable of firing hundreds of shots. And according to the source behind the report, the laser assault rifle is classified as non-lethal and capable of instant carbonization of human skin and tissues. One researcher noted, quote, "The pain will be beyond endurance." The 15mm caliber weapon is purported to produce an energy beam, invisible to the naked eye, that can pass through windows. Allegedly, the gun can also set fire to fuel tanks. In addition, the laser gun is said to be powered by a rechargeable lithium battery, not unlike the ones used in smartphones, but still capable of firing over 1,000 two-second shots on a single charge. Even more impressively, it can supposedly ignite targets as far as a kilometer away. At about the size of a thermal US laser and weighing 3 kilograms, the ZKZ-M500 is said to be an anti-personnel gun easily held by a single operator. And yet, the US version is merely capable of causing a sensation of extreme heat, a fact that has raised eyebrows among many experts in the field. Laser weapons have appeared in science fiction media for decades, but outside a few niche applications, they have failed to live up to their fictional destructive potential in real life. Hence, when a Chinese company claimed to be at the cutting edge of such technological innovation, most experts and enthusiasts were highly suspicious. It is said that, physically speaking, a laser weapon with the specified characteristics would not be able to set fire to objects hundreds of meters away. But when the international community pointed out the impossibility of such a weapon existing today, the company behind the so-called laser AK-47 responded with a demonstration video to appease skeptics. The video, posted on the South China Morning Post, dated July 4th, 2018, shows an operator firing a laser gun and setting fire to a wide range of objects tens of meters away. However, the footage did little to clarify most unanswered questions, and until the Chinese Academy of Sciences offers a real or live demonstration, the experts will not be satisfied. Bragging that 10 years ago such capabilities would have been reserved for sci-fi films, the article quoted a supposedly respectable yet anonymous laser weapon scientist describing how the innovative device is able to, quote, "burn through clothes in a split second. If the fabric is flammable, the whole person will be set on fire." Simply put, the weapon's description is absolutely incompatible with physics. Researchers in the field affirm there's no way the weapon described by the Chinese article can produce the amount of heat they claim, let alone a kilometer away. The actual size of lasers is significantly voluminous, and even the smaller ones need to be carried by truck. Moreover, their mobility is limited by their long, coiled optic fiber cables. The science behind such devices indicates that lasers lose power because of a phenomenon called attenuation, meaning that the beam scatters as it progresses, and thus its effect is notably weakened. During its trajectory, the laser comes through an amount of water and air that would sharply reduce its power to a mere fraction of its original strength, and a kilometer is a considerable distance. For many decades, and for different reasons, laser weaponry capable of actual harm has eluded the world's militaries as of the 2020s. First, there is the power. Lasers of relatively low power can indeed damage eyes, but it has more to do with the fact that the human eye is a delicate evolutionary marvel that is perhaps the most sensitive optical instrument on Earth. In other words, the inherent power of the laser has only a fraction to do with the actual damage, and the light that overloads the light-sensitive medium and wreaks havoc inside an eye is to blame. In contrast, the destruction of a physical body, ranging from a body part to a missile, would be caused by heat. Still, the article explains that the gun is supposedly powered by rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, and that it is capable of generating 1,000 two-second shots, or about half an hour of sustained fire. Existing large-scale laser weapon systems have struggled to build up enough heat unless they are trained on targets for a few seconds, and they require a whole army of batteries. Airborne and vehicle systems can fire a single shot with a magnitude of tens of kilowatts, and even then, the weapons are incapable of causing severe damage. The power required to set a person aflame from half a mile is exceedingly large, and it's been deemed impossible that a portable lithium battery-powered rifle could produce the necessary amount of heat, even at point-blank range. Unlike bullets, lasers continuously scatter as they progress, and beyond a few dozen meters, attenuation becomes genuinely significant. By the time the beam reaches 800 meters, its power is rendered useless. It's likely that the Chinese laser gun would be incapable of popping a balloon at said distance. There are indeed lasers that can fire from Earth to space and the other way around. However, they are not designed to fry an opponent. This type of laser simply emits intelligible signals that arrive at their given destination in the form of a few photons. That's not to say laser weapons will never exist. But right now, the announcement of a laser gun ready for mass production at $15,000 apiece to be used by China's anti-terrorist forces seems sketchy. At most, the ZKZ M500 is still a prototype under development and a concept to be perfected in the future. Moreover, it is said that the information behind the article could have been crafted to instill fear in the opposition, going as far as to mention illegal protests. A follow-up article by Business Insider Australia reads, quote, "One Beijing police officer said he would prefer to stick to more traditional crowd control methods, such as tear gas, rubber bullets, or electrical stun guns, such as tasers. The laser burn would leave a permanent scar. He said it would be a horrid sight that risked causing panic or transforming a peaceful protest into a riot." After all, the only thing scarier than an invisible laser gun that can set someone on fire is the idea of getting shot by it. The AK-12 is the latest service rifle to be introduced into the Russian military, replacing the legendary and reliable Kalashnikov AK-74. This new carbine design is a direct competitor to the American-made M4 rifle and features a Picatinny rail for accessories, a folding telescopic buttstock, modern sighting solutions, increased range, and a 5.45 caliber magazine. And just as the Soviets and the Americans tried to outmatch each other during the infamous arms race decades ago, the A-12 and the M4 are already resurrecting a crucial rivalry with much more to give. The AK-12 is the fifth generation of Kalashnikov rifles. The iconic weapon legacy dates back to the last days of World War II, when the Soviet Union began working on an automatic device that could compete against the German-made STG-44, the world's first assault rifle. World War II veteran Mikhail Kalashnikov then developed a legendary rifle that would become synonymous with communist dictators, Russia, and the Soviet Union, the AK-47. From then on, the AK-47 would be shipped to every nation affiliated with the Soviet Union. Then, as the decades passed, the Soviet rifle was improved through several different iterations to make it more reliable and increase the damage of its already powerful 7.62mm cartridge. After the adoption of the M16 rifle by the US Army before the beginning of the Vietnam War, the Soviet Union compared the American rifle to the AKM variant, and Kalashnikov came up with the AK-74. This new assault rifle was an improved AKM model that switched the 7.62mm ammunition for a 5.56 caliber. The AK-74 was officially adopted by the USSR in 1974, and like its predecessors, it also received several upgrades throughout the years. Although it never matched the accuracy of the original M16A1 and its derivative, the M16A2, the AK-74 was still a close competitor regarding range, bullet velocity, and overall damage. In 1990, the rifle was updated as the AK-74M variant, featuring an enhanced muzzle device, a durable, smooth dust cover, and improved bolt and carrier assembly. Still, despite the improvements, the Russian Armed Forces announced in 2012 that plans were already underway to upgrade the AK-74 with a $690 billion modernization program. The project to replace the AK-74M can be traced back to May of 2010, when the Russian Ministry of Defense announced that a new AK-12 variant would be tested the following year. The new Kalashnikov weapon aimed to improve the ergonomics and flexibility of the previous generation. This early prototype, dubbed the AK-200, was presented to Vladimir Putin during his visits to the Izhmash, or Kalashnikov Concern arms manufacturing plant. The Russian ministry then announced that it would not buy the prototype until the army could figure out what to do with the millions of surplus AK-74Ms it had in storage. Nevertheless, the development of the new prototype continued with the Izhmash company, and preliminary tests began in November of 2012. The AK-200 physically resembled the AK-74M, but it could use different calibers by swapping its barrels. In addition, it could fire 5.45, 5.56, and 7.62mm cartridges. The rifle had a telescoping buttstock that was in line with the barrel for adequate recoil control, and it also featured a stock latch to fold the stock to either side. The cocking handle was also different and could be attached to both sides for ambidextrous use. More importantly, the AK-200 included Picatinny rails for mounting accessories and a more ergonomic pistol grip. Moreover, it had an automatic rate of fire of 650 rounds that could be increased to 1,000 rounds when using the 3-round hyperburst setting. Acceptance trials of the AK-200 began in June of 2013, and between 2014 and 2015, the Russian military conducted several tests with the weapon. By September of 2016, Kalashnikov Concern announced that the latest derivative of the AK-12 prototype would be accepted into the army. This standard variant was the AK-400 prototype. The AK-400 prototype had two models, and they were chambered in 5.45 and 5.62mm cartridges. They were also based around the time-tested Kalashnikov design to ensure their rugged style and outstanding reliability. Still, the most significant innovation of the definitive prototype resides in its barrel, which is no longer mounted on the lower rifle's handguard with a stamped steel retainer. Instead, the handguard is attached to the receiver, and a rigid, non-removable gas tube allows the barrel to remain isolated and vibrate without restrictions. This improvement gives the AK-400 increased accuracy, something that the AKs have always struggled with compared to the American M16 and M4. Like earlier versions, the AK-400 also incorporates the new ambidextrous safety and fire mode selection lever, and it has 4 options: full auto, semi-auto, 3-round burst, and safe. They can all be activated with the thumb without the need to release the pistol grip, which has storage for an internal maintenance kit. The modernized dust cover has also proved a welcome change, as it is reinforced and more stable for mounting optics on the top rail. And although the AK-400 accepts AK-74 magazines, a new magazine version has been developed for the new rifle. When the AK-400 was accepted by the Russian military, the 5.45mm rifle was designated AK-12, while the 7.62mm rifle was dubbed AK-15. Both versions had some minor changes compared to the AK-400 prototype. First, the new box magazines are backward compatible with both calibers and feature a slant angle on the rear for a more stable contact with the ground when soldiers go prone. The new magazine also has witness portions at 10, 15, 20, and 25 rounds to allow the operator to see the current ammunition count, and features an improved telescoping buffered stock that resembles the one used by the M4 Carbine. Also, the 3-round burst was swapped for a more accurate 2-round burst. According to Kalashnikov Concern, the AK-12 weighs 3.7 kilograms, has a rate of fire of 700 rounds a minute, and an approximate range of 800 meters, with a maximum length of 935 millimeters with the buttstock unfolded. Another variant, still under development, is the AK-308, a battle rifle chambered in a 7.62 by 57mm cartridge with 20 rounds. It features a diopter sightline and a stretched design with a length of 970mm to handle the additional bolt thrust of the higher caliber. Specialists from Kalashnikov concern have recently pitched the AK-12 against the M4 to decide which rifle is the more powerful weapon, but there hasn't been a conclusive resolution, as the answer depends on several factors and variables. Kalashnikov specialist Georgy Gubich compared the weapons in several areas, including recoil, accuracy, range, and exposure to the environment. Most tests showed that the weapons achieved similar results. Gubich noted that it all came down to personal choice, adding that the M4 has reduced weight and better ergonomics, while the AK-12 has less recoil and more reliable controls. Whatever the case, it appears as though Russia has finally come up with a new AK design that will last for decades, just like its legendary ancestor. Players of first-person shooter games are familiar with the tag-and-shoot mechanic, where the player selects a target or series of marks on his screen, and the game then automatically fires and hits the objective. That same idea has been surprisingly taken into real-world combat with the recent creation of the TrackingPoint rifle, a powerful, intelligent weapon that allows the user to simply tag the targets on its visor, and the gun then automatically shoots with the precision of a seasoned sniper. Using a state-of-the-art sensor array and patented computer algorithms, the rifle can determine the exact moment when the target is in the ideal spot, with the perfect angle and best wind conditions to achieve a hit. During testing, the unique weapon has demonstrated that it can even help a person who has never held a rifle before hit a target up to 900 meters away without having to go through years of training and experience. Still, despite its incredible features, the unprecedented rifle has faced severe criticism, and some experts believe that the technology represents a significant risk to public safety, especially if the algorithm malfunctions. The TrackingPoint Corporation took the world by storm when it unveiled the concept of an intelligent rifle that couldn't miss back in 2011. According to company lore, John McHale, an already successful entrepreneur, was hunting gazelle when he missed a 300-yard shot. The event unsettled McHale, and the idea of an aim-assisted weapon immediately jolted him. Such an idea had precedent, as military fighter aircraft already used lock-and-launch technology that allowed the pilots to tag a target and have the weapon system do the more delicate calculation for them. Consequently, the businessman assembled a team of experienced engineers, programmers, and weapon designers and created a startup based in Austin, Texas. Early prototypes of the rifle showcased how the user could easily choose a target in the rifle's sights, while the weapon decided when it was the best time to shoot by automatically calculating the surrounding factors, such as wind speed, arm shake, recoil, air temperature, humidity, and the bullet's drop due to gravity. This function gave the shooter the precision of a lifelong sniper. The intelligent rifle was designed with a unique tracking system incorporated into a computer running the open-source Linux operating system, a laser rangefinder, a camera, and a high-resolution color display inside an added sighting scope mounted on top of the weapon. The shooter simply needed to look through the sight and press a button once the laser illuminated his desired target. Then the rifle did the rest. The smart weapon runs an algorithm using image processing procedures to keep track of the target as it moves, keeping the laser dot digitally painted on the same point. The computer then raises the pressure required to pull the trigger, only lowering it when the rifle's crosshairs are right over the laser dot. The bullet is then fired at the exact moment when the chances of a hit are most probable. The innovative design, marketed to the general public in the United States, also had another crucial feature: a Wi-Fi connection. With this added capability, the user and their companions could link their smartphones and tablets to the device and see the targeting system in action and in real time. During an extended testing period, the weapon showed remarkable performance, allowing complete gun novices to accurately hit targets 500 to 900 meters away, with relative ease even when they or the targets were moving. The impressive demonstrations led to increased media attention. Videos, articles, and stories suddenly appeared all over the internet, describing the incredible features of the TrackingPoint rifle. For a few months, the world seemed fixed on the idea of an intelligent, auto-aiming weapon. Due to its early success, TrackingPoint managed to sell over 1,000 smart rifles during the first years of production, starting in 2013. However, an avalanche of criticism began to overwhelm the small company soon. Gun experts and military advisors began to express serious concerns about allowing the public to access computer-assisted weapons, especially when an independent organization had not thoroughly researched the technology. Many detractors worried that the emerging technology could easily malfunction and be tampered with, leading the user to risk the lives of innocent people and bystanders. Many hunters' organizations also opposed the project, which was a significant blow to TrackingPoint, as the rifle aimed mainly at a hunting market. These groups argued that hunting was a sport, and taking the targeting skill out of the equation was equivalent to cheating in any other discipline. TrackingPoint disregarded the criticisms, while it continued to polish and develop a better version of its targeting algorithms, and pushed even harder to sell its novel rifle in more significant numbers. When journalists directly pointed out the risks of a smart gun falling into the wrong hands, company spokesmen simply argued that the steep $22,000 price for one weapon would make it difficult for most civilians to acquire it. From the outside, TrackingPoint could not be doing better. They were shipping their weapons, expanding to produce other rifles in different price ranges, and they were even in talks with the Remington Corporation for a joint project where the huge weapons manufacturer would buy a large amount of specialized computer-aided scopes for a brand new rifle model. However, on the inside, the company was in utter disarray. Employees were scrambling to meet unrealistic deadlines and sometimes had to work 14 to 26-hour shifts to meet the demands of their employers. As TrackingPoint failed one deadline after another, it would go through 3 CEOs in 3 years, while laying off half its employees, as it faced an ever harsher financial situation. Soon, even the deal with Remington seemed at risk of collapsing, as the historic weapons manufacturer was delivered faulty scopes ridden with bugs and performance issues. With only a fraction of its original employees and struggling to make ends meet, the ending of TrackingPoint and its once revolutionary smart rifle would come in 2015, after alarming reports surfaced showing that the weapon could easily be hacked and its targeting system tampered with. The Wi-Fi connection, once a remarkable feature, had turned out to be the Achilles heel of the unique smart rifle. Apparently, the Linux-based system could easily be modified from a device connected to the weapon. Once linked, the hacker could modify the targeting parameters, shooting criteria, and safety ranges without the shooter knowing, potentially leading to unfortunate results. Lacking any military-grade cybersecurity system, the rifle's computer was as easy to hack as a home internet router. The discovery caused overwhelming media backlash, finally pushing TrackingPoint over the edge. The few contracts it had left were cancelled, and the company was forced to halt production. No detailed explanation of the cancellation was given, and TrackingPoint merely published a message on its website that read, quote, "Due to financial difficulty, TrackingPoint will no longer be accepting orders. Thank you to our customers and loyal followers for sharing in our vision." The world was left to wonder what could have been, and if the rifle could have fared any better if it had been focused on a military application. The only data that remains is what resulted from those preliminary tests that shocked the world by turning a gun novice into a sniper with the press of a button. In the dimly lit streets of Kosovo in 1999, U.S. soldiers crouched behind makeshift barricades, their eyes scanning for movement. These men had learned from the Battle of Mogadishu that the M16's bulkiness had been a liability. Now, they held brand new M4 Carbines, their barrels chambered with a 5.56mm NATO round. As enemy forces emerged from the shadows, the soldiers took aim. The M4's Picatinny rail system allowed for quick customization. A red dot sight here, a suppressor there. Each M4 was tailored to its operator. The first shots rang out, and the chrome-lined barrel ensured accuracy and durability. Proving its worth in the tight corners and narrow alleys of Kosovo, one thing was certain as the smoke cleared. The M4 Carbine had just announced its presence on the world's battlefields for decades to come. During the last days of World War I, machine guns and submachine guns changed the tide of battle due to their superior fire rate over traditional bolt-action rifles. Soldiers could now carry the awesome fire rate of a machine gun in a lighter platform, firing pistol-caliber rounds with devastating automatic fire on enemy trenches. By the time World War II broke out, Germany took this concept to the next level. Hugo Schmeisser, the creator of the world's first mass-produced submachine gun, the MP-18, developed a fully automatic rifle that employed an intermediate cartridge. His aim was to fill the gap between the stopping power of a rifle or machine gun bullet and the maneuverability of a submachine gun. Thus, the 7.92mm Sturmgewehr 44, or Storm Rifle, was born. Like the MP-18, the STG-44 was the world's first mass-produced assault rifle. It was so successful and lethal that it gave birth to a new generation of rifles that inspired the Soviet Kalashnikov series of rifles derived from the AK-47 and the American AR-15, resulting in Eugene Stoner's iconic M16 rifle. Both rifles would eventually clash with each other during the Vietnam War, giving way to the most iconic firearms rivalry in history. Armalite's M16 was a revolutionary rifle for the United States Armed Forces. It was lighter and more maneuverable than the cumbersome M14. It employed a 5.56mm caliber, had an effective range of over 500 meters, had low recoil and excellent accuracy, and was delivered to soldiers in magazines with 20 and 30 rounds. Nevertheless, the M16 was not without its faults. Commonly referred to as the Mattel toy due to its size, weight, and composite plastic materials, the rifle did not respond well to Indochina's humid and dirty landscapes, often resulting in jamming during combat. Most problems were solved with the introduction of the M16A1 variant in 1967. During this time, the Special Forces community experimented with Colt's Car-15 XM177, commonly called the Commando. This was a shortened carbine version of the M16, with a unique flash suppressor to reduce flash signature and sound. It was also lighter and smaller, making it the ultimate weapon for commandos operating behind enemy lines. Although few commando rifles were produced, the carbine's design was considered again in the 1980s, when the U.S. Army began to look for a replacement for the latest iteration of the M16, the A2 model, which featured a 3-round burst and a thicker barrel. The Army requested Colt to make a carbine version of the M16A2, resulting in the M4 Carbine, a successor to the World War II-era M1 carbine. Over 40 prototypes of the M4 were tested in the mid-1980s, with the Marines first adopting it in 1987 under the designation M4. The Army and SOCOM followed in the aftermath of the First Gulf War. Born from the legendary M16, the age of the M4 Carbine had come. It was designed to provide unmatched firepower in a more compact form, and the U.S. military finally saw its merits. Although the M16A2 and the M4 look physically similar, as they share over 80% part commonality and employ the same operating mechanisms, they have one noticeable difference: their barrel. The M4's barrel is 14.5 inches long instead of the 20 inches of the M16A2. The M4 also features a shorter buffer and receiver extension. Like its predecessor, the M4 Carbine is a gas-operated, magazine-fed selective fire weapon. Its modular design allows for high customization and adaptability to various combat scenarios. The carbine is made primarily from aerospace-grade aluminum and steel, balancing durability and weight efficiency. Its barrel is chrome-lined for enhanced corrosion resistance. It's equipped with a collapsible stock, providing flexibility and length to accommodate different operator preferences and combat needs. The handguard incorporates Picatinny rails, allowing for the placement of accessories such as optical sights, tactical lights, foregrips, cameras, and laser sights. The M4 Carbine employs a direct impingement gas system, where gas from the fired cartridge is redirected through a tube to cycle the action. This reduces recoil and guarantees reliable combat usage, even in adverse conditions. Overall, the M4's design prioritizes modularity, reliability, and ergonomics, making it a versatile and trusted weapon for most combat ranges. Its adaptability allows for integrating various accessories, enabling soldiers to tailor the weapon to their specific mission requirements. The M4 has a length of over 84 centimeters and a barrel length of 35.5 centimeters. The carbine, with its standard 30-round magazine, weighs around 3.1 kilograms. There are safe semi-burst and safe semi-auto variants. The M4 has a 3-round burst firing mode in addition to semi-automatic and fully automatic modes. On the other hand, the M4A1 features a fully automatic firing mode in place of the 3-round burst mode. The M4A1 has ambidextrous controls, a heavier barrel, and a slightly superior fire rate, and is generally associated with special forces groups. Both variants can be armed with the M203 and M320 grenade launchers to fire smoke, illumination, and high explosive rounds and grenades. For those who wield it, the M4 is more than a weapon. It's an extension of themselves, a tool they trust with their lives due to the impressive customization the carbine can be adapted to. The US military has attempted to replace the M4 carbine for almost a decade to develop a weapon with increased penetration and interchangeability with a new family of rifles. Although Sig Sauer's XM7 has recently been declared the winner of the Army's next-generation squad weapon, the M4 and M4A1s are not going anywhere. US troops and militaries around the world hold the carbine in high esteem. The M4 has gone through several modifications across the years to make it more effective. The wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, and other regions have made the weapon deadlier and more reliable than ever. Currently, the Army has been upgrading its existing M4s to the M4A1 and has developed the new M855A1 Enhanced Performance Round, which, when passing through the human body, creates an internal cavity that results in massive damage to enemy opponents. So far, the Army has upgraded over 500,000 M4s to M4A1s. Although it will gradually be replaced at the turn of 2030, the M4 will continue to be employed by the US and NATO partners. The Armed Forces recently led the M4A1 Plus effort program to analyze more possible upgrades for the legendary carbine. Some of these included using a universal camouflage pattern, flash suppressor, single-stage trigger, removable iron sights, and others. Despite being ditched, the program may resurface to upgrade the M4. Whichever the case, the M4's legacy is firmly set in military history as one of the all-American weapons, sitting right next to its big brother, the M16, the M1 Garand, the STG-44, and other classic firearms.